Breaking K-pop news. One name is at the center of attention. One event has sparked massive reactions from fans. What really happened? All the facts and the latest updates start right now.
What if the quietest genre suddenly made the loudest noise in global music history? What if a song built on breath, restraint, and emotional vulnerability outran bombastic pop anthems and electronic giants to rewrite the record books? And what if the artist behind it was someone the world thought they already understood, only to discover there was still so much more beneath the surface? In a moment that feels both shocking and strangely inevitable, Winter Ahead by V, in collaboration with legendary vocalist Park Hyo-shin, has surpassed 600,000 streams on Spotify, officially becoming the fastest jazz song in history to reach this milestone, achieving the feat in just 14 days. At first glance, it feels unreal. Jazz, a genre often described as niche in the streaming era, standing at the center of a global record. No aggressive marketing blitz. No viral dance challenge engineered by algorithms. No flashy hook designed to explode in 15 seconds. Instead, there is a voice, a season, and an emotion so quietly devastating that listeners around the world pressed replay again and again, sometimes without fully understanding why they couldn't stop. Was this success an accident, a miracle, or the result of something deeper that the industry failed to recognize until now? And more importantly, what does this moment mean not just for V, not just for Park Hyo-shin, but for music itself? Hashtag a song that didn't rush, yet arrived first. When Winter Ahead was released, it didn't announce itself with chaos. It arrived like snowfall, soft, unassuming, almost easy to miss if you weren't paying attention. Yet those who listened felt it immediately. There was something different in the air. The pacing of the song refused to hurry. The arrangement trusted silence as much as sound. The vocals didn't demand attention. They invited it. V's voice, already known for its warm baritone and emotional texture, seemed to step into an entirely new dimension when paired with Park Hyo-shin, one of South Korea's most revered vocalists, a singer whose name alone carries decades of credibility, artistry, and respect. Their voices did not compete. They conversed. They breathed together. They mourned together. From the very beginning, listeners sensed that this was not a collaboration designed for charts. And yet, here it is, standing at the summit of streaming history for its genre. That contradiction is precisely what makes this achievement so powerful. Hashtag 600 million streams, a number that changes the conversation in the modern music industry. Numbers speak louder than press releases. And 600 million streams is not just a milestone, it is a declaration. For a jazz song to reach this number is already extraordinary. To do it in 414 days is historic. To do it in an era dominated by fast-paced, short-form consumption makes it almost unbelievable. This achievement forces a reevaluation of assumptions the industry has held for years. Jazz is often labeled as uncommercial in the streaming age. Slow songs are considered risky. Emotional subtlety is thought to be less algorithm-friendly. Winter Ahead dismantled all of those beliefs without raising its voice. The song didn't need to trend for a week. It didn't burn bright and disappear. Instead, it lingered. It stayed. It accumulated streams the way winter accumulates snow, quietly, persistently, and inevitably. Hashtag the 414-day journey that no one predicted. 414 days. On paper, it's just a number. In reality, it represents more than a year of consistent listening across continents, cultures, and languages. It represents late-night replays, early morning reflections, solitary commutes, heartbreaks, healing moments, and quiet triumphs. What's remarkable is not just how fast Winter Ahead reached 600 million, but how steadily it did so. This wasn't a spike followed by decline. It was a slow-burning ascent, driven by listeners returning again and again. That kind of streaming behavior cannot be forced. It cannot be bought. It can only be earned. Every replay was a choice, and millions of people made that choice daily. Hashtag V, an artist who refused to be boxed in 4 years. V has been recognized as one of the most distinctive voices in global pop. As a member of BTS, he helped redefine what a Korean group could achieve on the world stage. Yet, even within that massive success, V consistently signaled that he was walking a slightly different path. His musical tastes, openly shared, leaned toward jazz, soul, R&B, and classic ballads. His solo work often explored vulnerability rather than spectacle. He sang about loneliness, longing, and introspection with a tone that felt deeply personal. Winter Ahead did not feel like a departure. It felt like a destination, a place V had always been moving toward. Collaborating with Park Hyo-shin was not a strategic flex. It was an artistic statement. It said, quietly but clearly, that V was not chasing trends. He was honoring influence, and the world followed. Hashtag Park Hyo-shin. The voice that anchored a generation for Korean listeners. Park Hyo-shin is not just a singer. He is an institution. His voice has soundtracked countless lives, dramas, and emotional milestones. Known for his technical mastery and emotional depth, Park Hyo-shin's involvement instantly elevated Winter Ahead into something timeless. But what surprised many was not his presence, it was his restraint. Rather than dominating the song, he blended. He listened. He allowed space. In doing so, he created something rare, a collaboration where ego disappeared entirely. This mutual respect is audible in every note. And listeners, even those unfamiliar with the history behind the voices, felt it instinctively. Hashtag why this song crossed every border language has long been cited as a barrier in music. Winter Ahead proved once again that emotion does not require translation. The song's themes, loneliness, anticipation, quiet hope, emotional endurance, are universal. Listeners from different cultures describe the same feeling, a sense of calm mixed with melancholy, as if the song understood them without asking questions. Some played it during winter nights, others during hot summers, craving emotional coolness. Some listened after loss, others during moments of reflection. The song became a companion, and companions are not easily replaced. Hashtag jazz rewritten for a new generation. Historically, jazz has always been about emotion, improvisation, and authenticity. Yet in the streaming era, it often gets sidelined. Winter Ahead did not modernize jazz by making it louder or faster. It modernized jazz by trusting listeners. The arrangement allowed breathing room. The vocals leaned into imperfection. The song respected silence. For younger listeners, this became an entry point into a genre they might have never explored. For older listeners, it felt like a reminder of why they fell in love with music in the first place. And bridging generations, Winter Ahead did something extraordinary. It made jazz feel urgent again, not because it screamed, but because it whispered something listeners needed to hear. Hashtag the emotional economy of replays. Why did people keep pressing play? The answer lies not in marketing, but in psychology. Winter Ahead offers emotional regulation. It slows the listener down. It creates a safe emotional space. In a world of constant stimulation that is priceless, listeners didn't just hear the song, they used it. They used it to think, to cry, to rest, to remember. That kind of utility turns a song into a habit. And habits, over time, create numbers like 600 million. This wasn't virality. This was intimacy at scale. Hashtag social media didn't shout. It felt unlike many chart-topping hits. Winter Ahead didn't dominate timelines through noise. Instead, it appeared in quiet posts, late-night tweets, handwritten captions, and emotional confessions. Fans didn't just celebrate the song. They shared what it meant to them. One listener described it as the sound of waiting without despair. Another called it a winter that doesn't hurt. These aren't slogans. They're emotional responses. And collectively, they formed a wave more powerful than any marketing campaign. When the news broke that the song had surpassed 600 million streams, the reaction wasn't disbelief. It was recognition. As if people thought, asterisk, of course it did. How could it not? Asterisk. Hashtag fastest jazz song in history. A title that redefines possibility. The phrase, fastest jazz song, itself feels contradictory. Jazz isn't supposed to race. Yet here it is, holding a record that forces the industry to reconsider how it defines success. This milestone proves that speed doesn't always come from intensity. Sometimes it comes from depth. Sometimes it comes from trust. And sometimes it comes from letting artists make the music they believe in without forcing them into formulas. In just 414 days, Winter Ahead accomplished what many believed impossible. And in doing so, it opened doors for other artists who've been told their sound is too slow, too emotional, or too niche.